split pushing role is what her champion tries to fulfill. And while the Syndra can be a great team fighter, and while the Olaf can have an impact in the team fight, it's just not at the same level as those other champions like the Cassiopeia, like the Ornn, and like the Amumu.
Yeah, I think even Olaf is going to be able to split push as well. I know he's kind of retained to the jungle in the early and mid game, but as we get to late game, if he gets up by a couple kills, I don't really think there's anybody on the side of NHS who would be able to deal with him one-on-one, allowing him to have some great split push ability, you know, a word I just made up. And now just looking a little bit to the early jungle compositions, it looks like both teams will be starting in their bot jungle, Olaf picking up that red buff, and Amumu potentially picking up the blue. But now as he routes towards top, we're going to see some opposite jungle starts, which is really nice because then we might see some invades like we saw last game. And oh no, as I speak, every single character in the game just says, shut up, Frozona, you're wrong. Both junglers are going to be starting towards the top side.
Yeah, and this means they're both going to end up on the bot part of the map initially, and that greatly favors JHS here. I mean, the Olaf, we were highlighting it in the early stages of the draft, that the Olaf is so much stronger than Amumu in the early game. So if it ends up being a brawl over the Scuttle Crab, I mean, there is nothing the Amumu can do. He's going to get run down, chain axed, and chopped up by the Olaf. So the axes of Olaf likely to favor if there is that brawl on the bot side.
Exactly, and quickly looking towards so those scissors cut very quickly. And just before we get into too much action, we're going to do a quick time check. We tend to be a second or two off from time to time. So right now, just so you know, production, I'm at 210, 211, 212, and they can let us know whether we need to, you know, speed up or slow down depending on. Look at the flurry of scissor cuts. And it looks like we are 2 seconds ahead. So I'm just going to call it a pause for us. We'll pause in 3, 2, 1, pause, 1, 2, click play, and I think we should be a little bit more on. We're 230, 231, 232, and you can just let us know if we're ahead or behind as we are heading into the laning phase of this game.
Absolutely, and the Gwen here getting the early level 2, abusing the Ornn a little bit. Ornn this time opting for the Doran Shield instead of that Corrupting Potion like we saw in the previously game, but all lanes kind of playing out how we expect. The Cassiopeia has a small amount of pressure in the early game thanks to that level 2 and kind of having that sustained damage that Syndra can't match. Similarly, in the top side, Gwen is just able to free push out the wave, while Ornn needs a couple more levels to do any sort of damage, get that W ranked up a little bit. But all across the map, it's pretty even. We saw in the bot lane here that the Olaf is just massively outpacing Amumu here. He's already cleared his full jungle onto his golems, while Amumu has missed a couple camps. So this means that he's just so much stronger than the Amumu.
Oh, and now look at the power shots getting taken by Gwen there. A great knockup by Ornn, just utilizing the mispositioning of Gwen there early.
Yeah, absolutely. Getting some great trades here, making sure that he's able to survive this matchup. This is the one wild card in your game, right? You have no idea what this champion can do in terms of the true power level. So,
oh, and look at the knockup from Ornn as he's going to be able to re-engage onto the Gwen. Gwen taking a lot of damage, but Ornn very much so respecting the damage of Gwen, as when he has no abilities up, Gwen's able to put him down to a similar HP level as him.
Yeah, and his W wasn't able to proc the brittle, right? If he does get that brittle proc, I think he goes for the all-in just because he gets that little bit of crowd control. He gets the extra damage, and he can look for that one shot. But instead, right now, they're just going to play it low and slow. The Ornn was able to shop there, pick up a free Ruby Crystal for himself as Amumu and Olaf come to the top side. Olaf picked up the double Scuttle Crab, so Amumu not getting any of that early vision.
Oh, and now re-engaging his Ornn, and now look at how low Gwen is. Gwen is able to flash out, but Ornn now flashing to re-engage, trying to track her down and able to get the last auto attack. Ornn grabbing the first blood on the Seamstress in the top lane, now re-engaging his Swain in the bottom. Bit of a trade coming up, but great ability by Ornn to kind of counter that Gwen in the top lane and grab the first blood.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the danger of playing a champion on release, right? Other people might not know what the champion does, but neither do you. I bet he hasn't been spamming it in the PvE as much as I was joking before, but he does teleport back to lane and push the Ornn out here. I suspect it'll just mean that Ornn has to use teleport, although maybe he loses a wave of CS in the process.
Yeah, Gwen falling a little bit behind early now. She's going to have to do a lot of work to kind of get that back, because as soon as Ornn gets a little bit ahead, he's just going to become unkillable. Although, again, the max HP health percentage damage from Gwen will allow her to come back a little bit. Just focusing towards the jungle, neither champion has done an engage or any sort of gank or anything. There was a little bit of skirmish in the bot river area, but look at the CS difference. Olaf already 20 CS above the Amumu 5 minutes into this game.
And that's why Olaf is such a strong meta pick right now. He's known for just taking tempo in the early game and running with it. What he wants to do, rather than making some insane gank happen due to only having slows instead of hard crowd control, Olaf wants to whittle you down.
Hook from Leona, and now Olaf rotating towards the bot jungle. Swain trying to put a lot of damage, but look at the damage from Kai'Sa, or Swain, pardon me, having to flash away, and I believe that was a heal coming out as well. So both summoner spells down to the bot lane. That's two. Now Gwen re-engaging onto the Ornn. She's doing a lot of damage here. The Ornn ultimate coming out, and now the Gwen's gonna get knocked up, but look how low the Ornn is, and now Gwen able to bring that kill back 1-1, and in the top lane, and all of a sudden the lead that Ornn has is cut to nothing.
Yeah, and he's going to lose CS off of this even. I think he misplayed mechanically slightly. He could have reset his brittle a couple times and chain crowd control to Gwen, so maybe he saw that in his eyes, but it doesn't turn out in his favor. And meanwhile, JHS is picking up the dragon in the meantime. That's that Olaf, that's that tempo that comes with this pick. He just farms so fast, accelerates himself. He's level 6 to level 4. And he just gets that very strong early lead thanks to his jungle clear and is able to just push the game, push for these early dragons as a result.
And now not only is Gwen even in kills, she is up almost 20 CS into the top lane, mid CS fairly even. And if you look towards the bot lane, Kai'Sa with 47 to 24 CS, JHS with Jack Harlow's Sussman absolutely dominating the creeper score game.
Yeah, exactly. And this is what makes Senna so hard to pick and why it's kind of not seeing as much play as maybe as it deserves. Because playing fasting Senna is such a dynamic shift compared to normal. You know, your support has to be your main farming champion, which is something that support mains are usually not used to. Haha, support's having to farm Omega Lull the whole 9 yards. But really, it is a very awkward change in the bot lane matchup that people aren't always used to.
Another flash and ult from Syndra. A great utilization. And unfortunately, the ultimate from Cassiopeia coming out does not cancel Syndra ultimate. Sorry, that thing's going to keep going even after you die. Now Olaf just doing a little bit of damage onto the Ornn in the top lane. Actually able to land a couple spears. Ornn having to dash out of there and just getting abused a little bit, as I'm sure he's used to being the bruiser. No pun intended, but again, a great play from the Syndra in the mid lane.
Yeah, and this is especially scary because typically Cassiopeia is seen as a counter pick to Syndra. The Cassiopeia has a little bit more range than Syndra on her Q, on her E, has that ability to lock Syndra down with the W. So normally this is a counter pick thanks to that range advantage, but instead Syndra getting that early kill, getting the CS lane here in the mid lane, it does not bode well for RHN.
No, not at all. And now the Sussman, almost 2k gold lead, about a 1.5k gold lead, pardon me, as Amumu looking towards the mid lane, able to get the stun off on the Cassiopeia, and Amumu missing the Q. Great plays by Syndra there, who could have gone down quite a bit should she have either missed that stun on the Cassiopeia or got hit by the Q from Amumu.
Yeah, absolutely. And Amumu not even level 6, right? So that isn't a guaranteed gank. It's not like he can just flash ultimate for that guaranteed crowd control. Instead, he has to go for the bandage toss, which is not reliable at all. This Gwen continuing to put down the pressure on Ornn here. I think we're starting to see the point where Gwen is able to get ahead in the matchup. It looks like Gwen is going to be opting for the Rift Maker as Leona engages on Amumu's blue.
And now look at how low Amumu is. Unfortunately, you're about to get counter jungled by a Leona. That heal was huge. And now ulting is Amumu. He doesn't have ult left. Got ignited. Has to flash away, but the re-engage flash by Kai'Sa able to grab it. And now Swain getting really low here as Olaf continues to harass them. Both under jungle. The flash under turn. Able to grab the double kill as Olaf and continuing to get harassed here as Cassiopeia in the top lane. That Syndra Q's going to take her down. Now 6 kills to 1 from the side of the Sussman.
Yeah, great collapse out of the Sussman. I mean, it started off with a aggressive invade there on the Amumu blue buff. We know how vulnerable this champion is in the early game, and they're capitalizing in such a great way. All champions coming through to help out and support on the invade. This is what you love to see, teams playing around their jungler. It's such a dynamic role, and if you're going to be picking a really greedy champion like Amumu that's so vulnerable in the early game when there's such lethal threats like the Kai'Sa, like the Syndra, like the Olaf, you got
but look at Olaf going down here under turret. They still haven't taken down turret, taking so many turret shots. Kai'Sa finally able to take it down, but just unfortunately not enough damage going on to turret there for Olaf to be able to go down.
Yeah, a little bit greedy, but in the end, it's not a huge deal for them. They get the first.
Oh, and look at this damage coming up from Cassiopeia. The Q into the E, and now into the tower dive. One more E is going to do it, but unfortunately not able to get it there as Feed the Catfish continues to push mid. And the stun from Syndra. Oh, pardon me. I thought she was going to re-engage there.
No problem at all. I was getting a little worried too. My heart skipped a beat as the Cassiopeia that is 2 levels down pushes Syndra out of lane. So that's great to see out of the side of Rihanna, 2009 Rihanna, RHN. You need to be getting a couple advantages back in the map. And this is, again, what we've been talking about, cast over cast. We need to see teams that are falling behind still make proactive plays. You cannot just roll over and die, especially when there is so much early game focus at the side of Jack Harlow Sussman.
Yeah, and now the Sussman up a 4K gold lead from the 4 kills, the Dragon and the turret, mainly coming from the mid and jungle, but also the top and bot lane doing well. Every single lane putting in work and very, very ahead, not only on the kill count, but also on the CS, which can't be ignored. 13 CS, I believe, is the number to make up for the gold that's worth in a kill, and they have done a lot more than that in every lane.
Yeah, absolutely. These aggressive lanes are just exerting their pressure, right? We've highlighted the fasting Senna and the difficulties that come with that, but their woes don't end there. In the top lane, Ornn, after getting his solo kill, is falling farther and farther behind. Cassiopeia in the middle lane, although she pushed the Syndra out earlier on, is still significantly down in creeps. So this is the ultimate coming in from Gwen.
Yeah, and Gwen might be engaging here on the turret, looking for a tower dive, doing a lot of damage there. You don't see a tower dive on an ultimate there very often, and now Cassiopeia re-engaging onto the Gwen. The ultimate, nice flash out from Shocky to not get hit, and a dash out from the Q. Shocky with the micro plays of the sentry not to die here, and the ward going over the wall. Shocky is somehow going to get out of that after 2 ultimates are used on the top lane, but I might not speak so quickly as now Amumu trying to re-engage, but a nice Q into the ultimate from Syndra to be able to get the kill. Now the stun onto Cassiopeia and potentially trying to re-engage the dash forward from Gwen, able to put a lot of damage on there. A nice dodge from the bot lane and a double kill from Syndra there as the team of Jack Harlow Sussman continues to work together and really re-engage when they need to.
Yeah, and Jack Harlow Sussman, they knew that turn was possible because so many ultimates were used to try and get the Gwen pick early on. They burned the Ornn ultimate, they burned the Cassiopeia ultimate looking for that pick, but it comes up short, and as a result, they lose so much for it. This Amumu is level 6. I don't care how game-changing his ultimate is. If he's that far behind, he doesn't do enough damage for it to be game-changing.
Yeah, not at all. And he's still level 6. And you're looking at the bot lane of Jack Harlow Sussman, who's already level 8. So Amumu really needs to get back into this game. He has the lowest CS out of any champion that's going to be doing CS. And right quickly before we get back in, we're going to do one more time check. So right now I'm at 351, 352, 353, and again, our production team will let us know whether we need to slow down or speed up based on that, just so you guys can get the best experience on the team fights. And we're 1 second ahead just before this Ornn gets dove here, pardon me. I'm going to do a quick pause here. So 3, 2, 1, pause. 1 play, and I think we should be a little bit better now. Ornn engaging, or Olaf, pardon me, engaging onto this Ornn. Both players slowed here as Amumu and Ornn just trying to get the heck out of there. A bit of a time check again. We are at 14-23, 14-24, 14-25. Let me know if I'm ahead or behind at all, as there's no question of who's ahead and behind in this game.
Absolutely not. Every single lane exploiting their advantages to the fullest as Cassiopeia gets into a little 1v1 but instead it's going to be walked off. This Syndra is really overstaying her welcome here. I think the bottom lane could have easily collapsed on her into this blue side jungle, but instead they don't opt for it. They're so worried because of how far behind they are. They don't want to overextend and get caught. The side of Jack Harlow Sussman has been very good at rotating into these little skirmishes in the jungle or in the side lane, so not opting for that fight, probably because of the deaths that they've been suffering every time they do.
Yeah, for sure. And now look at this gold lead. 7K above are the Sussmen as they are continuing to dominate this game. Again, a little bit of focus towards that Syndra in the mid lane. 4-0-0 with 116 CS. Just a fantastic performance from that mid lane.
Yeah, absolutely. SSJ4Z really popping off, showing that he is not a one-trick. He can play the control mages too. This Syndra is such a lethal threat too when she gets ahead. Already having the Sork shoes, and there's not really a lot of magic resist on the carries of 2009 Rihanna. RHN instead opting to get their core items, which I like. You can't itemize defensively when you're so far behind, or you just don't have the damage to get anything done. So it's a necessary evil just going into your first damage items, as we're seeing finally some mythics get picked up by their side. Cassiopeia has got the, excuse me, this has changed.
Oh, and now it looks like Warren is going to be able to catch out Gwen here as the ultimate coming through, as well as Cassiopeia in the top lane, but missing the ultimate, not able to knock out the Gwen, and Gwen doing a lot of damage to Cassiopeia. Cassiopeia having to flash out, but eventually getting taken down by the Gwen, and now re-engaging in the top lane. Amumu able to Q him, but not going to be able to do too much more than that, as Cassiopeia and Gwen able to pick up the solo kill. A great teleport coming out from Syndra, pardon me, not Cassiopeia, as she supports the Gwen and able to pick up the kill.
Yeah, and this is, again, people not really understanding the full strength of a new champion. Instead of kiting out the Hallowed Mist, that W on Gwen, for people that maybe aren't familiar with the champ... Oh, hold on.
Oh, no, and now Senna getting ulted down by Olaf, and Olaf going for the dive here, able to flash into the Q, doing a whole lot of damage there. Sorry, he is unstoppable, and that means that you cannot catch up to him, as Senna is going to go down to the Olaf in the bottom lane, and a nice hook by Swain trying to re-engage here. Cassiopeia trying to come up for the follow-up, and now Leona able to ult into the Q. Look at all the CC coming up from Swain, and look at the burst down onto him as Olaf re-engages now. A Q coming in from Amumu, but Gwen is all over the map now as those scissors are cutting back and forth, making sure that they can't re-engage. But look at all the damage coming up from Cassiopeia. The poison going to be under the kill, and now continuing to re-engage. A nice Q by Amumu into the ult, and then Cassiopeia with 1, 2, and now potentially 3, but a nice huge heal from the Olaf. You're able to grab one and able to get on out of there. I can't believe that Olaf didn't die to the Cassiopeia. The second turret going to be able to take him down. Cassiopeia with a nice triple kill in the bottom lane, with again help from her friends in the form of an Amumu Q and ult.
And that's what happens when Cassiopeia is uncontested. She is able to pop off there, just dealing so much sustained damage. The Leandri's Torment is going to come up clutch and combine with the poisons, and it just deals so much damage, even when champions are healing so much, thanks to the Rift Maker, thanks to the Gore Drinker, thanks to the Magic Resist out of the side of Jack Harlow Sussman. This Cassiopeia is in the game, and so too are RHN. She got 2 huge shutdowns. This is a hyper carry AP champion. She has supportive picks around her. There is a possibility that this game goes way later than it was looking.
Yeah, I think Senna's going to need to farm up a little bit, get a few more levels though, because they might be running into the same issue that we saw last game, where all of their damage is on AP. And so if Olaf and Gwen and potentially even Leona just want to negate a lot of that damage, they can easily build some MR and completely nullify all of the AP damage coming out of the side of RHN. And so they're going to need to have that Senna come online quick if they want any chance in team fights against these beefy champions on the side of, pardon me, the Sussman.
Absolutely, and it looks like she has picked up her first mythic, that being the Senna. She's got the Kraken Slayer, so dealing true damage on every third auto attack is nice, but against these massive sustained tanks that are coming out of the side of JHS, it might not be enough as Olaf engages.
Oh, and a nice Olaf engage into the Leona ultimate. Great job to be able to take him down there now, ulting under turret, trying to get towards that Swain. Cassiopeia is there, and a nice heal from Swain to be able to get out of them, and a nice root by Swain into the Cassiopeia ultimate. He's going to do a lot of damage there. Now focusing towards the top lane, Leona able to grab the stun onto the Ornus. He's stunned underneath turret. Now Gwen going going for the dive, as well as a lot of damage coming out from Adam there, going to secure the kill. A nice Q onto the Cassiopeia, potentially a re-engage here from Swain as he somehow still alive, a flash over, and now Shocky's going to be able to grab the kill. Cassiopeia doing as much work as she possibly can, but it's not going to be enough against the powerhouse of a team in Jack Harlow Sussman.
Yeah, just a really split up team fight is not what you can have as the Syndra stun comes through.
Oh my goodness, look at the Syndra ultimate. I wasn't even able to cast it that quickly as the one click is going to happen in the mid lane as Syndra continues to unleash her power. I can't believe she's still at ultimate there. Great patience from Syndra to hold on to it. SSJ4Z just going brazy this game.
Absolutely, and really the story of this is the 5 versus 5, right? 2009 Rihanna is unable to just stack up and fight together. Instead, it ends up being so split. The Amumu died off screen along with the Ornn up there in the top part of the jungle, and meanwhile, their champions were in the middle lane. The Cassiopeia there not really able to fight off of her teammates, not able to have that sustained damage throughout, and as a result, things fall short.
Oh my goodness. I'm shaking my head there at Shocky's confidence to just stay under turret while he knows a lot of the team members are there. Just because he knows he's going to be able to dodge it now. A Q in by Leona, but where's the rest of the team? The ultimate able to catch up to Cassiopeia, but the teleport coming in from Ornn, and now rooted is the Leona, and she might have just gone a little bit too deep. Indeed, she did, as Senna's able to pick up that kill, and that's the 80 damage that RHN is going to need to stay into this game.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's not a lot for them to grab around the map here, right? There's no dragon up. The Baron is far too aggressive of a play at this point in the game, but they're getting a little bit of gold back onto their carries, and that's what you need. You need damage to deal with these drain tanks. I'm sure everyone has played against a Nightmare, super-fed Aatrox, or Olaf, or any one of those sustained champions in their solo queue matches, and you know how frustrating it is to put your all into that champion and him 1 versus 5 tank your whole team thanks to the lifesteal. So, I want to see the damage threat come out of the side of RHN. They need to get scaled up. They need to be putting out the work onto these frontline champions that Shocky and Killer Khan are piloting.
Yeah, these next few minutes from RHN are going to be very, very important. As we discussed before, Riot Games themselves unleashed a statistic basically saying if you are down 0.5k gold in the game, then the game is basically GG, and they are right on that level here now. Down 10k gold with 22 minutes in. If they lose one more big team fight around an objective, or even not around an objective, it could be the beginning of the end for them. But on the other side of the coin, if they're able to win a team fight and continue this momentum that they have started here, this game could really, really turn around, as I do like RHN's comp a little bit more than the Sussmans.
Yeah, and that statistic has mostly been applied to pro play. It doesn't account for sort of the randomness that can come in a bit lower of skill matches. Not to say that either of these teams are performing poorly, but stacking them up against Doublelift might be a tough comparison.
Oh, another dash over the wall from Gwen, trying to go into the swing. Swain having the ultimate to look at all the damage coming out, able to grab the first kill, re-engaging on Senna. Senna having to flash out, and that's not what you want to see from the side of RHN, as they were so close to getting back into this game. They cannot be giving up solo kills like that, but what are you supposed to do against an absolute unit in Gwen, just hopping over a wall and terrorizing you until you die?
And while we were watching that little 1 versus 2 play, the side of JHS has just picked up the Dragon Soul in the meantime. They've been quietly stacking these Drakes all game long, thanks to the Olaf accelerating the pace of the early game. So now it means they have got the Cloud Soul for themselves. A great upgrade for their team. They get that extra movement speed. They get the extra ultimate cooldown reduction. And that's actually really important in a very aggressive game like this, because you need to be able to close it out soon versus this super strong 5 versus 5 wombo combo. And having that ultimate cooldown reduction is really important.
Yeah, 100%. And just going a little bit back to what we were talking about at the start of the game, you know, we really thought that this was going to come down to Gwen's ability to dominate her lane. And you know what? She's done just that, been able to transfer a lot of gold onto her teammates. And every single other lane just popping off. Again, cannot ignore SSJ4Z as he's able to land a stun onto the Ornn, and now the re-engaged Leona able to grab it. Now the ultimate grabbing 3 people, but the re-engaged by Ornn's going to knock Leona up and get her away from the rest of the team as she goes down to a solo kill to Ornn.
Yeah, and that's a great play out of the side of RHN.
Oh, but look at the Ornn, and now the ultimate coming through and not going to have enough damage. Syndra, I don't know if that's exactly who you meant to ult, but Ornn just a little bit too tanky to take that down. Hasn't even built any MR yet, but that's just how Ornn rolls.
Yeah, he's a beefcake, right? He's got that health stack like nobody's business, and that's just a great play out of RHN. That's the 5 versus 5 team comp that you need to see. That's the 5 versus 5 stack up that you want. They slowly but surely bait in Jack Harlow's Sussman to the choke in the jungle. The terrain gets narrower, the Cassiopeia ult comes up, just perfectly enabling the Ornn ultimate knockup.
All right, we're just going to do another time check here as we want to make sure that these team fights look and sound clean to everybody. Right now, I'm at 24, 57, 58, 59, and finally 25. So just let us know how many more seconds we need to pause or if you guys need to fast forward, and we'll get right back into this as it looks like the Sussmen are going to be engaging on Baron soon.
Yeah, they're stacking up for it, and there is some decent vision control out of the side of RHN here, but instead it's looking like they don't have the members, right? I mean, you've got two in the bottom side here in the Swain as well as Senna, trying to match the Gwen split pushes, what we highlighted for that RHN needs to worry about the map split as the all-in happens, but thankfully Swain has heal. He can't go back in as instead the Baron is taken.
How the Baron getting taken down, not much the side of RHN can do. They're not even going to look to engage, but potentially, no, that was just Senna ultimate coming through. And just to make sure we're good on our production side, we're at 25, 50, 51, 52. So just let us know if we need to adjust that at all, as we are looking to potentially go into the end game from the side of the Sussman.
Yeah, and what I want to see the Sussmen do here is pull off a 1-3-1. They don't want to be grouping up as a 5-man stack. Instead, they want to be spreading out around the map, spreading those Baron buffs to every lane, and let your strong champions take on 1 versus 1s, 1 versus 2s, right? If you get into the 5 versus 5 stack, it's going to be a little bit tougher thanks to the teamfight ultimates out of the side of RHN.
Don't want to waste too much more time. We're going to do another quick pause. Gutty, we're going to pause for 1 second. So
it looks like we're good here, actually.
1. Oh, pardon me. KTY says we're good. Unfortunately, one of our production members just has a bit of OCD and can't deal with me calling it out a millisecond before it happens. So you're just going to have to deal with it for now as RHN continuing to push out the mid lane as the Baron buff is terrorizing all 3 lanes right now.
Yeah, and as long as none of these inhibitor turrets go down on the side of RHN, I think you can call it a job done. Because, I mean, really, the Baron buff is all about cracking...
Oh, but now Shocky going over the wall. Look at all the damage that he's putting out to Amumu. Aren't you supposed to be a tanky little mummy? Apparently not when it comes to Gwen. But now Gwen getting knocked up by Orion all, and look at all the movement speed that Gwen has. I was not aware of how mobile of a champ that this champ was, and now getting rooted. But look at the stun up and the ultimate coming through, not going to get anybody, but Gwen dashing over the wall, able to grab one and completely stun out. Going to go down now, Olaf re-engaging, able to grab the smite onto the Cassiopeia, going through a nice Zhonya's and Cassiopeia, and a good ultimate in the queue coming in, as well as Olaf damage coming in, able to grab up the Cassiopeia, and now under turret, it's Senna, not going to be able to survive that, as Shocky and the rest of JHS is on a rampage right now.
They're just flashing into the enemy base without a care in the world. They have no fear of their opposition right now, and to be fair, they don't need to. As you can see, the team fight working out perfectly. Who cares about the massive team fight ultimates when you have to crowd control a single Gwen flying into your base? Amumu is not long for this world.
No, not indeed. That mummy is going to go back to his grave. You only get 1 extra life as the Nexus is getting taken down here, as we see Jack Harlow Sussman take the game over RHN.